Now, um, yes, we shall move further and we shall try to define what service is. What is service all about? Or why is it that we'll have to understand what service is? Now, as you can see in the slide, um, there we can see that although a service, especially such as education, is intangible dominant. No, tangible such as building and open spaces are frequently used to differentiate one education setting from that of another. Now, if we see services are everywhere we turn, now whether it be travel to an exotic tourism destination, or a visit to the doctor, or a church service, or a trip to the bank, you know, maybe a meeting with the insurance agent, or you people having, your meal at the restaurant, or your day in your school, your college, your in university. Everywhere we see, we find that the majority of their, more and more services we can see. Now, if we closely observe, day by day, more and more countries, particularly those called so-called industrialized countries, they are finding that the majority of their gross domestic products are generated by their service sector. However, the growth of the service sector does not just lie within traditional services industries such as leisure and hospitality service. Now, education and health services, financial and insurance services, and professional and business services. Now, traditional goods producers such as maybe automotive, computer, and numerous other manufacturers, they are now turning to service aspects of their operation to establish a different advantage in the marketplace as well as to generate additional source of revenue for their firms. Now, in essence, these companies which used to compete by marketing, boxes or what we call as tangible goods, have now switched their competitive focus to provisions of unmatched, unparalleled customer service. Now we can find ample evidence which exists with documents this transition from selling boxes to service competition. Now, traditional goods producing industries, such as the automotive industries, are now emphasizing the service aspects of their business, such as low APR financing, attractive lease arrangements, or bumper to bumper factory warranties, maybe low maintenance guarantees, or such as free shuttle services for customers. All these are examples how each and every service providing company is coming up with new and new ideas to better serve their customer and thereby be have a competitive advantage over their competitors. Simultaneously, we can hear less about the tangible aspects of vehicle, such as acceleration or the vehicle styling. Similarly, if we observe with the personal computer industry, it promotes in-home repairs or 24-hour customer service and leasing arrangements. Now, when the satellite television industry is also now boosting the benefits of digital service or pay-per-view alternatives and security options to prevent children from viewing certain programming. So overall, this new global service era, if we tell, it has been characterized by few of them, or these are nothing but characteristics of the global service era. So what could be this? Now, first characteristic of global service era is that economists and labor force figure that they are dominated by the service sector. That is the one first feature. Each and every economy and each and every labor force, they are now understanding that their economy is being dominated by service sector. Now, the second characteristic is that than ever before in today's world, there is a lot of customer involvement in strategic business decisions. Now, speaking about one more characteristics of service, see, the products that are increasingly market focused and much more responsive to changing needs of the marketplace. And also, one more characteristic is that there is a lot of development of technology, especially of those which assist customers and employees in the provision of services. And the next characteristic of service industry is that um, employees, who have been provided with more discretionary freedom to develop customized solution to special customer requests and solve customer complaints on the spot with minimal inconvenience. So the emergence of new service industries and the service imperative, what we can call as. So these were the intangible aspects of the product which are becoming more and more the key features that differentiate products in the marketplace. So one thing we can observe is that the service sector in many countries, they are no longer manufacturing's poor cousin. So service provide the bulk of the wealth, and definitely they are an important source of employment and exports for many countries. Now, in addition, there are countries which are example of firms using the service imperative to drive their business forward to profit growth. Now, many of these are highlighted in the service in action boxes, which are located throughout the remainder. So, as world economies continue to transfer themselves, the service boom looks set to continue. So, now having said that, I just mentioned service imperative. So, what is this service imperative? Now, speaking about service imperative, it is nothing but it reflects the view that intangible aspects of products are becoming the key features that differentiate the products in the marketplace. So, yeah, that is service imperative. If you want me to repeat, I shall repeat it once again. Service imperative reflects the view that the tangible aspects of product are becoming the key features that differentiate products in the marketplace. I hope those who had to take down have taken it down. Uh, since it is not given here, neither is it in, uh, I mean, since you are not even getting the study
Ma'am,
material. Yes, Jarnad.
sorry, ma'am, can you please say it for last time?
Okay, the service imperative, or should I repeat the characteristics of global service industry?
The service is imperative.
Okay, okay, take down. Service imperative, service imperative reflects the view that the intangible aspects the intangible aspects of the products are becoming the key features that differentiates products in the marketplace. Yes. Now remember one thing. Yes, services are very different from that of goods. But then both service and goods have their own kind of marketplace. Only the differentiation is in terms of them being tangible and them being storable. Um, Now, if we observe one more thing, I do not know. I would like your opinion in this regard also. We used to tell that services could not be stored, but what about all these things that have, especially the entertainment industry? So, can the service be stored? Can it be used for later use? Or is it that this particular service cannot be stored? So, what is your opinion? I would like to know. Now, even entertainment industry is nothing but one of the wing of service industry. And in entertainment industry, we have all these things, the films, or let us forget about the films for now. We have especially the OTTs, your Netflix, your YouTube, whatever it might be. So there the things are definitely stored, and nowadays you have access for anything, any content that you wish to see 24/7 or around the clock in a day. So is it that we'll have to change the feature of the service nowadays, or is it that there is this feature of services also being stored now? So your opinion matters. So do let me know along with the classes name. So having said that, what is this service? Now, yes, we have textbooks, we have theories where we differentiate what is a good, what is a service, what are the difference between the two. But if we admit it, the distinction between goods and service we can make, but it is not always perfectly clear. That is, in fact, you know, providing an example of a pure and good or a pure service is always very difficult. Even if though it is not impossible, definitely it is difficult. That is, a pure good would imply that the benefit received by the consumer contained no elements supplied by services. Similarly, a pure service would mean it would contain no tangible elements. But in reality, there are many services which contain at least some tangible element. Um, if you that is to tell now, what are these tangible elements in service? We said it is intangible. Yet again, what is their tangibility? Now, see, if you go to a restaurant, you'll have to order something. The menu card itself is tangible. The infrastructure, it is tangible. The cutleries that they use, how clean it is, whether it is clean or not clean, the services provided, those things are very much tangible. Now you go to bank, you have a transaction, the statement that you get from the bank is tangible element when you are getting a service from a bank. And when you get an insurance policy, the written policy from the insurance company is very much tangible in nature. So this is the case of service, and so is the case with the goods. So if you observe, most goods at least offer a delivery service. For example, you know, it could be even simple table salt. Now it has to be delivered to the store from which you buy it. Yes, the delivery or the transportation facility is a service. And also the company that sells it may offer innovative invoicing method. So that also further differentiate it from its competitors. So this is the, you know, how goods and services, they cannot be purely a good or purely a service. So the distinction between goods and service is further obscured, or it is like there is a very thin line how we can differentiate a goods from a service. That is where we tell that it is more confusing, especially in those companies that conduct business on both the sides of fence. That is, it does provides goods, it also provides services. Such companies are even more confusing. One of the example that we can take is of General Motors. Now this General Motors, if you know, they are into manufacturing giant machines, if you know. Okay, now they generate a significant percent of their revenue from financial and insurance business also. And this big car manufacturing company, their biggest supplier is Blue Cross Blue Shield. So they are not a part supplier for steel, tires, or glass as most people would have thought. So, that is how it is difficult to differentiate between goods and service. Now, if you take other example, IBM is there, and General Electrics and IBM, if you see, generally it is thought of them as major goods producer, but now they generate more than half of their revenue from the service rendered. So this transition from goods producer to service provider can be found to varying degrees throughout much of the industrial sector. Now, one of the world's largest steel producers now considers its service related activities to be the dominant force within its overall business strategy. So, despite having so much of confusion, you know, we can always define or distinct how much different a goods is or are from that of services. So, how do you think they are different? Now, those who want, they can take it down. Now, in general, goods. What are goods? If we have to speak in a very, very common way, or from the point of view of understanding of a common man, what is a goods? So, goods can be defined as, objects, devices, or things. Agree? I shall repeat once again. Goods can be defined as object, devices, or things. Now, as against to this, when we speak of services, services can be defined as deeds, efforts, or performance. Okay. So this can be the main difference between what is goods, what is a service. So in telling this, we'll also have to understand or note what does a product mean then. We said a product can be either a good or it can be a service. Now we know that goods is nothing but it is an objective device or things. A service can be a deed, effort, or a performance. So what is product? So product, once again, it refers to both goods and services, and it shall always used in such a manner throughout that whenever you tell a product, it shall definitely include goods and also services. Okay. But ultimately, the primary difference between goods and services is shall come down to one main point, that is the property of intangibility. Okay, now by definition, intangible product lack physical substance. So as a result, intangible product face a host of service market problems that are not always adequately solved by traditional goods related to marketing solutions. So now it is time that we try to understand some of the definition of service. What services is all about, or what service is all about. Now there are hundreds and thousands of people, or this marketing researchers, marketing analysts, or marketing thinkers who have come out with the definition as to what service is all about. Now, this particular term, it has been defined by several marketing analysts and also associations. Different associations have given what do they mean by service, or what is service marketing especially. Now, when we try to study all such definition, now it provides us with an understanding of, you know, the direction of evolution of the concept of service, or to tell that what service meant to be before 50, 60 years, and what do we mean by service in today's world of business? So, understanding definitions of service also provides, the changing perception of service by the society in general and business concern in particular. And whatever you can see in the slide. Now, these definitions, they present the thoughts of various personalities and also different associations there that have contributed significantly over the last 6 decades or from 1960 onwards to service management and marketing. So, what does service marketing means to all these individuals or association? We can see here. Now, the first, I mean, it was American Marketing Association which first tried to define service. Now, according to this American Marketing Association, they define service as, it could be activities, benefits, or satisfaction which are offered for sale or provided in connection with the sale of goods. So that is what services means to market association. According to them, services activities, benefits, or satisfaction which are offered for sale or provided in connection with the sale of goods. Now, having said that, if we observe, now this particular definition, it provides a very limited view of service. That is to tell, it does not provide for valuing services involved in the production of tangible goods. However, this particular definition, now this was the first major attempt that was done to identify service differently in valuing the output of a society. Now, there was one more personality who was called as W.J. Reagan. In his definition, he classified services into two categories. According to him, service represent either tangible yielding satisfaction directly, like it could be transporting or housing, or intangible yielding satisfaction, which is jointly when purchased either with commodities or other services, like might be credit or the delivery. Now, this particular definition that was given by W.J. Reagan, it tried to focus on service that are offered directly to consumers as products which could be used by them. Now, the next definition is given by Arjun, and according to this person, what service is a market transaction by an enterprise or entrepreneur where the object of the market transaction is other than the transfer of ownership of a tangible commodity. So, what can you observe in this definition of Arjun when he tells that it is a market transaction which is done by an enterprise, or it can also be done from the part of entrepreneur? Now, for when you tell from enterprise, it could be an insurance company service. When you tell entrepreneur, it could be a service rendered by the barber. So he tells that now it is a market transaction where there is involvement of the enterprise or the entrepreneur, and where the objective of the market transaction is other than transfer of ownership of a tangible commodity. Now, wherever there is no exchange or transfer of tangible commodity, okay, other than that, whatever it is nothing but a service. So, when we try to analyze this particular definition, furthermore, we can observe that there are three broad areas of services here. That is, it could be rented goods business, that is, where there is right to possess and use a product. Maybe like if at all there is a function in our home, we do bring in maybe the chairs that are necessary, the tables that are necessary, the fans or the shades or what we call as shamiyans. So it is also kind of services where there is right to possess and use a particular product, or nowadays even the vehicles can be rented out. The second one that we can observe is owned product service. That is the customer creation, repair, or improvement of a product can also be observed here, where there is no transfer of ownership of tangible commodity. Now, maybe you buy a second hand vehicle, you go to a repair shop, that is a service that you get. Or there also be can be non goods services, that is there is no product element but it is only with regard to the experience. That is, you go to a parlor, you get the service of massage, so that is entirely no product element but you do have an experience. So through this definition we can observe that there was an attempt made to give an independent status, to more and more services, and to focus the attention of researchers on further development of what service actually is. Now, I hope the second definition was clear to you all. Now, speaking about the third definition that has been put up in your slide, it was given by W.J. Staton. So, this person he provided, a very comprehensive, that is total a lot included in one. He has given a comprehensive view of service. Now, according to him, services are separately identifiable, intangible activities which provide want satisfaction when marketed to consumer and or industrial user, and which are not necessarily tied to the sale of a product or another services. So what is he trying to tell here? He's telling that it can be separately identifiable, and when even though it can be separately identifiable, it is an intangible activities, and it is such a activity which can provide one satisfaction when it is marketed to a consumer. Now this consumer could be an individual or an industrial users, and all such activities that are done, they need not necessarily be tied to sale of product or another service altogether. Now, when we observe this, there are some of the things that we can observe. First is that services are those activities that can be identifiable separately. Second, that services are intangible that provides want satisfaction to consumers. And as we further analyze, we can also see that services are marketed directly to consumers and also to the industrial users. And we can also see that services may or may not be tied with the sale of goods, and services may or may not be tied with the sale of other services either. So this was one of the definition which in detail spoke about what services are. Now according to J. Latinen, if we see, he tells that as product is an activity or a series of activities which take place in interaction with the contact person or a physical machine and which provides customer satisfaction. Now, if you see this, now this definition, it does speaks about the service provided by machines. What kind of machine? Have you ever seen a machine giving you services? Definitely yes. You do use ATMs, right? Now it is a machine which provides you with the service. Or if you have seen in city center, you might have observed the massaging chairs. Now they do have to be paid and used. Now that is a machine which gives you the service. Besides the service provided by a direct person. Now, otherwise, earlier you had to go to bank and get the things done or withdraw the money. You had to write the slip. You have to submit it where you have to in the cash counter to take the money. There would be a person cashier who would be giving you with the money. There used to be the involvement of person, but now in the ATM it is not at all necessary. The ATM does not mean that it is only for your withdrawing. There is also depositing machines equally. Now then we have the definition given by Kotler and P. N. Bloom. Now they define service as any kind of activity or benefit that one party can offer to another that is essentially intangible and does not result in the ownership of anything. So, its production may not be tied to a physical product. Now, this definition more or less follows the definition of Lehtinen. The focus was on the absence of ownership now and as a special feature of service here which has a significant business implication. Now, if you observe the definition of C. Gronrose, now a service is nothing but a service is an activity or series of activities of more or less intangible nature that normally not necessarily take place in interaction between the customer and service employees and or physical resources or goods and or systems of service provider which are provided as solutions to customer problems. So, what is this definition all about? Now, if you try to understand, it attempts to include all important issues relating to what we call as service management, where they are speaking that it is an activity, or it could also be a series of activities altogether, which there is possibility it can be intangible or it can also be tangible. Naturally, that normally not necessarily takes place in interaction between the customer and service employees. And also, physical resources are goods and or system of the service provided which are provided as solution to customer. Now, if we observe the definition of, Zetimal and B.J. Bittner, they said that services are deeds, processes, and performance. So, what does this mean? This means that, although it seems that the definition is more precise, it provides a marketing orientation to concept of services. Now this definition, it implies that the consumer is interested in deeds, processes and performance in pursuing the value services. Yes. Now there was some network issue. That's how I lost the connection, and we were speaking regarding, you know, the definition that was given by Zetimal and B.J. Bittner. They said that services are deeds, processes, and performance. So when we try understand this particular definition, although it seems that this definition is very more precise, but it does provide some marketing orientation to the concept of service altogether. Now, this is one such definition which shows us that consumer is interested in deeds, the processes and performance in pursuing the value of the service. So, having observed all such definitions, in total, if we have to tell what a service is, we can define service as an intangible activity or a series of intangible activities which is performed by persons, it could be performed by machines or both together, whereby it tries to create value perception among consumers. Now, the quality of services results in perception and value assessment by the consumer. So, that is all about services. Now, as we go further, uh, it is better to understand the service marketing inside. There is a case study which was published for 2016-18 that speaks about the closing the gap or a comparison of telecom sectors in the two fastest growing telecom service market, that is India and that of China. Now, what happened was the telecommunications sector is a prime support service for rapid economic growth, can be in any of the economy. Now, this particular industry, it has undergone transformation throughout the world. Now, technological advances, they have revolutionized the range and quality of services that are offered, and the rapid growth of telecom sector has brought about a qualitative change. Now it has brought such changes not only in the way of the business and organized function, they have also brought changes in the lifestyle of people. Now, having having said this, it is no surprise that India and China, which together account for more than 40% of the world's population, are the fastest growing telecom markets in the entire globe. Now, the two countries together, they were estimated to have subscriber base of about 1.2 billion by the end of 2010, and also with India claiming 438 million and China 750 million, which was before 12 years and which happened before the smartphones entered the market. And now with the smartphones, with the social media, and with the cheaper way to access to internet, you can imagine the amount of growth in the telecommunication sector in both the countries. So this India achieved a growth rate of 95.6% from August 2006 to August 2007 in the mobile subscriber base. So the country recorded a hefty 8 million plus monthly mobile subscriber addition in 2007, and as a result of these new schemes and increased penetration in rural and semi-urban areas by telecommunication companies. Now this growth put India on the third place globally in terms of total subscriber base. In the same way, China also undoubtedly was the world's largest telecommunication market with a total mobile subscriber base of 515.67 million as of August 2007, and the subscriber base grew steadily as 8% from August 2006 to August 2007. Now, the telecom sector in India has 12 players back then, 8 in GSM segment and 4 in CDMA segment, whereas there were only 2 players in China, that is China Mobile and China Union. One is GSM and one was CDMA. So China Mobiles was the market leader with 69% market share as of August 2007. In India, none of the telecom companies had managed to capture such a high market share. Could be Bharati Airtel was the dominant player with market share of 12.15%. So GSM was the dominant technology in both the countries, accounting for about 92% of the market share in China and over 70 percent of market share in India. So in China, the telecommunication market is it is largely state owned, and because of this reason, the benefits of a truly competitive market cannot be exploited in that country. On the other hand, in India, 74% foreign direct investment is there in telecommunication field. It offers a relative, open telecom markets wherein all competitive forces have enough freedom to operate. So, industry experts predirect that the trend of increasing subscribers in India will continue, and China will see an increase in number of wireless subscribers, but slowly. So this case study, yes, definitely it is of you know 10 years or more earlier, but then that was the time when there was a rapid growth in telecommunication. And what is important for us is to understand how services are playing a major role in their contribution towards the GDP of every country individually, and also as whole when we take into consideration the entire globe. So now it is the time of service industries. Okay, then that's it for today's class. If anyone has any doubt, please you